We're just finishing up in Clubhouse. It's just the final 2 minutes, and then people will join us and we'll go live. Well, we are live, but so we've run a Clubhouse on social selling and influence, which has been really well attended. Great debate. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring it over here to LinkedIn Live, YouTube, Facebook, and debate what we've been talking about. So we'll be picking that up in a couple of seconds. So we've been talking about automation. We've been talking about omnichannel. What is it? What could it be? And we've been talking about those things. And we're just moving across from Clubhouse. We're just closing out the Clubhouse right now. And so we're just about. So happy to take all your comments and the discussion. So we've just finished up the Clubhouse. Now waiting for people to join us on LinkedIn Live, and you can start asking the questions. We've been talking about what is omnichannel, what does it mean, what does it mean to you, what does it mean in the past, what's it going to mean in the future, and we're going to bring that chat straight back here onto LinkedIn Live. There's a couple of people that want to join up on the So it's the first time that I've used Restream, so we're just waiting for the people to come and join us, and then we'll get talking. Yes, Jonathan, it's being recorded. All the Restreams are being recorded. So yeah, absolutely, yeah. I'm just waiting for Eric Doyle and Adam Gray and Rob Durant to join. Hello, Adam. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the other people to join.
That was a very interesting session on Clubhouse, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just need to turn you up. It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we've had one question so far from Jonathan Strauss about is it being recorded?
Is this being recorded?
Yes, and it is.
Marvellous.
And we have 7 watchers.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this
I don't know where Rob and Eric is. Ah, Peggy, connected through Clubhouse. Excellent.
Hi, Danielle.
Danielle, it's Adam, not Eric. Here we go.
There's Eric.
I'm terribly sorry. I couldn't find the link.
Likewise.
That's okay.
Got to be
Here we
smarter
are.
than technology.
So Eric says, if you do a LinkedIn Live, don't ever go, are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Can you
Don't
text
do
me
it.
if we're live? Sorry, Eric, I just couldn't.
Don't
We
do
are
it.
live.
Should we take the link and each of us do a quick LinkedIn post with the link on it? Saying, come and join.
Hi, Thomas. Hi, Danielle. So yeah, if you want to, Adam, yeah, but we need to get the chat going because we did have 13 people. We've now got 5. So we need to, if we need to get the conversation going. So, Eric,
yeah,
do you want to start with with the discussion that we had on Clubhouse about Omnichannel?
Yeah, sure. So I was lucky enough to be asked to be host this week, and we picked up on something that I've been musing about, speaking with prospects and clients about this week and previous weeks, about the whole issue of digital dominance. So with everybody that's suffered greatly in 20 with pipeline shortages and lead shortages and all of that, a whole heap of people have jumped onto social to just smash connection requests, smashing up lots of content out there. The whole issue of being dominant in that space and how omni-channeling, being everywhere, or certainly being in the right places, has been a big topic of discussion recently. We talk about digital dominance a lot. I guess many times we get lumped in with the LinkedIn trainers, which we're not. That strategic social media piece and digital dominance is becoming more and more to the fore. So I thought it'd be good that we discussed as a team what omni-channeling meant in 2021, how it used to be, how we omni-channeled, and some of the best ways of doing that, and what sort of the perceived results and real results that one might see if you start to multi-channel. So that was it, and we had some pretty good debate. So I guess the first question I had was it took us way back to the days when you had long hair and sideburns, Tim, and stripy shirts with braces, and used to be turning up outside these big corporate offices and
with big mobile phone,
with the mobile phone, smashing deals on the way up the stairs, and you know,
a Vauxhall Cavalier SRI.
Yes, keeping it real, it real. So the question we started was, from those days, the concept of omni-channeling is not new. We just do it differently. So how did we do it back then, and how do we do it today? And I really enjoyed it. I think we came out with some really, really good stuff today. Loved it.
I mean, we talked about in the past, there was lots of channels in terms of fax, there was advertising, there was the telephone, cold calling, that kind of started in 1980. And then there was this amazing thing called email that kind of started out in 1990, 30 years ago. And I also talked about how the fax used to get these people sending you all these spam faxes. And they used to put a basket at the end, and you just used to let everything go into the basket. Pretty much the way that I run my email inbox today.
Yeah. I still, to this day, and strike me down for this. The first thing I do when I get up in the morning is reach for my phone once I've got a cup of coffee in my hand, and I delete the emails that I delete every day. I do it. I just go through and I'm like, swipe, get rid of them, get on with my day. I mean, that needs to stop, right?
Yeah, you need to unsubscribe from stuff and start building some rules. I mean, I've got 7 emails in my inbox.
That reminds me of something I wrote down early on in the session this morning. Tim, you said, who was telling you email could never catch on?
Oh yeah. A friend of mine did some advice for the consultancy for a board, and the consultancy was around email, and they put a business case together, and the board rejected it and said no, it will never catch on because lawyers have to have signatures on pieces of paper.
Yeah, you told that story on the podcast, Janice.
It's a great example of how technology is just taken over, and you can't beat technology.
No, in fact, probably 20 years ago, I was pitching to a large German bank, their kind of tech committee. And one of the people on the committee, in the drinks reception afterwards, one of the people on the committee said, "I don't think this internet thing will ever catch on." And it's ironic, isn't it, that when it challenges our view of the world and challenges what we're comfortable with or experienced with, we want to talk about how it isn't going to work in order that it gives us comfort. And I think that's one of the key things that we see with this whole omni-channel idea. You know, maybe you're comfortable on LinkedIn, maybe you're comfortable on Twitter, maybe you're comfortable on YouTube, but actually you have to be comfortable on lots of different platforms because it's where your customers are. And you have to adapt in the same way that LinkedIn was a shock for everybody when it first came out. You know, it was a self-updating Rolodex once upon a time. And then it became something which was more than that. And it became a place where people met to do business. And I think that the interesting thing about these new channels like Clubhouse and like LinkedIn Live that we're on now is as they come out, we have to adapt. We have to try them. We have to see whether or not they're going to work for us and our customers, and act accordingly. And if they are, well, the lesson in there is that we have to bake that into part of our normal behavior, because if we don't, we're missing a trick.
And William basically said it was your story was the funny one, Adam.
Well, we don't know that. It could well have been your story.
You know, Tim, this reminds me of when, since I'm a little bit older, when we were told when we were first in sales, and when I joined a copier sales business in the 90s, hey, you need to join 2 chambers of commerce, you need to be in a service group, you need to be in a networking group, and you need to cold call 8 hours a day. But multi-channeling then was you going to different meetings physically and you having to expend all of this travel time. And it worked because that's all we had. You know, anything was better than cold calling. But multi-channeling, what we're talking about here, omni-channel, as you guys shared before, is how can we use technology to be around our customers in a more efficient way. And it's no different from what you're used to analog. We're just doing it digitally.
So we've had a question from Monica Singh, which is ideal for this, which is that she's saying that she's looking for ways to approach a client base. They're not responding to email and calls. How does she contact that group? I mean, an open question to everybody.
Oh man,
Which group?
Sorry, Mike, carry on.
Just Monica, do you mind sharing with us what specific audience you're trying to reach?
Well, while we're waiting for her answer, why don't you take that away, Eric?
Yeah, I was just thinking, until we get the specifics, Monica, this is very generic, but one of the things we would advise is if this is a reasonably large organization that isn't responding to emails or calls, we would like you to put a strategic plan in place of how you're going to connect with this organization. One of the things we would ask you to do is connect with people that might influence or amplify your message. Maybe you're just going after the buyers, and the buyers are a bit busy, and we can expect that they probably are. It's about some 20 people in the automotive industry, right? Okay, automotive, great. So my suggestion would be, and this is a bit like asking the chefs what they would do with a chicken in the fridge on the Saturday morning cookery shows, but my suggestion would be find the company that you're interested in, find them on LinkedIn, first of all, and then start to have a look at how the company is represented. Start to connect with some of the managers in that organization and build relationships. We don't have to be going after buyers at this point. We don't have to be going after the senior people at this point. Start to build relationships in the sort of belly fat around the middle of the organization. And then once you've got a good representation there and you've got some interaction going, you might end up on some calls from that. You might end up on some calls, depending on how you're pushing those relationships. Then you can start to march up. Once you've got a good representation around the middle of the organization, you can start to strategically move up to directors, move up to vice presidents, and then you're gathering momentum within the organization. All the while, you're looking to get those people on a call. But one of the things we talk about is we're not directly selling at these people. We're trying to bring them into your life to experience what it's about, like getting to know you without getting that
So
hard
Eric, so
sell.
why aren't we directly selling to these people?
Well, I guess you have to reflect. You have to look in the mirror. Do you like it when you open your DMs and someone who's just connected with you starts to sell at you? We don't like it. We don't like it at all. None of us do. None of us like being broadcast at when we've just accepted someone and opened up our precious little network, and someone suddenly they are quoting prices at you and deals and all of that. That's not how we work these days. Contact at the lower level, start to build relationships there, and then work up through the organization, all the while not threatening, not salesy, just building relationships. And at any opportunity you can find to get people on a call, to empathize with their day, find out what it's all about, share the experiences that you're having, and then work in what you do. And this is all beneficial stuff.
So what Roger is saying here in terms of, so you're suggesting you may find the first contact at a low level to leverage that and then to climb the ladder.
Absolutely. And keep doing that. Keep doing that across the organization. Before you know it, you'll have a brilliant, brilliant representation in there, and a lot of people will be talking about you.
And Peggy has said that she agrees with that. It's about networking into the organization, building trust and a relationship. Do we agree with that? Yeah.
100%.
And Monica's responded, maybe you should start very simple then.
100%. Yeah, start very simple. I mean, lots of people overcomplicate this. Make a little plan. Have a look around about who you think might be an interesting person to connect to. Don't necessarily think you have to go for the CEO or the head of purchasing or whatever. Think about building a relationship with this organization in a more abstract sense. So do I have to connect with the people that are going to be the people that give me a purchase order? We're going to get there eventually. We're going to get there. It doesn't have to take an inordinate amount of time, but just that. So, how long do you need to build a relationship with a manager?
Yeah. So Roger's asked, how long does this take? Because a lot of people say to me, social selling takes a long time. I don't have the time.
Well, it's that picture Eric shared on the beach.
Yeah,
that's the answer, Roger.
Sorry. I guess Roger might not have seen that. So I guess it's case by case, Roger. Case by case. You're going to know fairly quickly when you start having conversations and building relationships with people who's going to be able to help you in an organization. And that's where you need to put the focus in and the effort. Not to say that we're going to ignore everyone else, certainly not. But you're going to see where the little gems are, and you're going to know it. You look as if you've been round the block with me maybe a couple of times. You're going to know when that beautiful little clinch point is where you can say, listen, this has been great. I've got some interesting stuff to share. Can we get on a call, and can you maybe bring your manager or director in, because I think there's some real gems here that we can share. You're going to know. You're going to feel it.
Because I think one of the things that we talked about today in Clubhouse was about creating conversations and using social media as a platform to create those conversations. And sharing content that would resonate with your buyers, not resonate with you, and that resonates with your buyers. And let's not forget that when anybody likes or comments on that content, that is an opportunity for you to have a conversation. So one of the things that we've always done in sales is look for commonality. So there's a picture just behind me, which is my partner's father. He was a squadron leader in a Spitfire squadron during the war. Handsome, dapper, but I have lots of conversations about him because his picture's right behind me, and they say, who's that person in the uniform? And what we're doing is that we're looking for that commonality, and all we're doing is putting content on social to allow us to have those conversations.
Yeah, if I may, what we're talking about at this point is really almost mid-process tactics. How do I reach out to them? What are those meetings? How do I upscale? But there's a whole large piece that goes before that. You have to be helpful. You have to be approachable. And when you do it that way, you don't know where the opportunities are going to come at you. It's once they start to come at you and you intentionally go out and seek other activities, that's when we can start talking about these mid-process tactics and what does that look like and how do we scale that up.
So let me share this from Danielle first. This quote, great quote, love that. Adam and I went to see a nice hockey game in Winnipeg a couple of years ago, had a great time.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to put up Monica's question, because I think that kind of keeps the thing flowing, and I'll be interested in the panel's views about creating adverts on LinkedIn and using those as a way of generating.
Let me just interrupt you there. Sorry, that was a joke. That's what advertising is. So Tim said something. Is when we first started the business years ago. Tim said something, and he thought that we should have as our strapline, working towards an ad-free world. And I just love that idea. You know, advertising is fundamentally bad, and it's bad because you are shoehorning your content into my line of sight, and that's the way to make me hate your brand rather than love your brand. Gary Vee once had a rant about this, and he said it was during the point that it was, and I don't understand basketball, but it was there was some buying of players going on, and he said that, and I'll use the brand name here, he said that Samsung kept interrupting his newsfeed with pictures of their TV and videos of their TV, and he would pick up his phone, and every time he would try to stop this from happening, so he would keep pressing it to quit out of the advert so he could see the newsfeed, and because he's got big fingers, he kept clicking the advert. And he said, so that we've got the advertising guy, you know, we've got the marketer that's saying, oh, look at this guy. He's really loving our content. He keeps looking at the advert for the TV. Meanwhile, Gary's on the phone to his wife saying, we are never going to buy a Samsung product until I'm dead. So hate the brand as a result of that. And, you know, if you want to see the full detrimental power of advertising, I think that's best exhibited in that first 12 seconds of the YouTube clip that you're desperate to watch. That's the longest 12 seconds in the world. You hate the company that interrupts your viewing pleasure.
So what do you think about what Roger's basically said there?
I don't use ads. I work to build my network of contacts personally, then post. Absolutely perfect, Roger. You've hit the bullseye with that. Ads are bad. Ads are bad. You know, I shared something with the guys earlier. I got basically an advertising email from a company saying, I can absolutely help you with your Forex trading at Digital Leadership Associates. It's like, we don't do any Forex trading. So you've got no idea what you're talking about. And that's, thank you. They're great, aren't they? The guitars, that is.
He can't play them.
No, that's it. You're better at buying than playing. But the point is that the adverts are the thing that get in the way of you having a relationship. Build the relationships properly. You can't advertise to find yourself a life partner. You can't advertise to find your perfect client. You do it through building relationships. Peggy absolutely nailed it there. Good conversations, build relationships, and that leads to opportunities. You know, you get opportunities because the person wants to work with you, not because you've jumped in front of somebody else in the queue and got in their face. You know, that may have worked in the 80s or the 90s or even the 2000s, but it certainly isn't going to work in the 2020s.
Can I just pull your attention back 1 second, Mike, to what Roger's comment was? I do this with content to help retain my prospects' mind share. Mind share.
Beautiful.
That is gorgeous, isn't it? I love that.
I was going to address that one.
I'm going to take a screen grab of that particular comment, and I shall steal.
Smile, everybody.
Slide.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, Roger, but you're going to get 6 blogs about retaining mindshare next week.
Yeah. Well, I thought Roger was spot on, because like the problem with interrupt marketing is you're trying to avoid answering the real question, which is, why the heck should I listen to you? Right? You're just trying to jump the line and get in front and pitch. And you're eventually going to have to answer the question. Who are you? Why should I listen to you? And why the hell should I believe you? And what the basics that Rob was alluding to earlier, and which everyone else here does better than me, is this: you have to be attractive. You have to create a profile on whatever medium you're using that starts to answer that question. Why the heck should I listen to you?
Well,
like, why are you trusted?
You use the word attractive, which segues perfectly into the comment that's on the screen, William's comment. Again, this is great blog fodder. Try automating a first date, you will die alone.
I always say, Adam, like, if when you show up, like, it's like, doing this direct pitching is like showing up at a blind date without wearing clothes. It's just probably not going to end well. Like, do the basics of civilization. Don't show up naked.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So there are billions of dollars spent on advertising. You can't tell me that it doesn't work. We'll hear. But what about this? How is the success of advertising measured? Likes,
you ask,
views, shares?
Well, a lot of advertising agencies will say it's about building brand recognition. So you can't measure it, but it creates buzz and noise in the marketplace. I remember somebody used the phrase, it's all about the data. Without data, you're just someone else with an opinion. And it strikes me that idea that you're building noise, you're building a buzz in the marketplace, that absolutely is the equivalent of that. If it's being successful, show me. Don't show me views, don't show me impressions, don't show me impacts, show me the money. You know, how many times did the phone ring as a result of your campaign? Not at all. Well, then it didn't work. And I think so often we are sold on the beauty of a concept. You know, have you checked out our new website? It's great. We've got this lovely, elegant new navigation on the website, and we've optimized it in the following ways. And we've got a new look and feel to it and a new skin to it. That's lovely, but that's all subjective stuff. Does the phone ring more? No, it isn't working then. And you know, we have to be really pragmatic about this, don't we?
Well, at the end of the day, advertising is about bidding. Right? Because advertising is an inhumane way of getting attraction, because fundamentally, if you play the advertising game, you're competing with Google, with Apple, with Cadillac, and all these brands. And unless you're one of those brands, you're playing the loser game. You need to be human. You need to be agile, and you need to double down on what actually works, which is you're smaller and you care about your customers more.
So Danielle just made a comment about CTR, click-through rate, on posts. So a week ago, I did a quick post, which was a picture of some young person in a, in quotes, click farm. So it's a young girl, probably in her teens, and she's sitting at a huge bank of phones all wired up, and she's going and clicking ads. Now, I'm not saying that all advertising is like this, but increasingly, and an associate of ours, Stephen, he for a while he was focusing on this ad fraud, as he called it, and publicizing the fact that so much of this goes on, whether or not you're the social network, or whether or not, or Google for that matter, or whether or not you're the ad agency, there's a huge incentive for you to engage people for $2 an hour to go through clicking hundreds of ads from hundreds of different devices. And the reality is that the only output from this is you're driving up the metrics which the client is being charged for. There's no benefit in this. Like when you do some employee advocacy and everybody that likes the post works in the company. It's like, they're not going to buy your product. They work for you. The reason they're liking it is they're hoping for a promotion. And the reality is that often we're looking at the wrong things, I think. You know, we're trying to justify our existence. Oh, we got 150 likes on this post. Yeah, they all work for you. And
so one of the things that Rob said in the Clubhouse, which I wrote down, was there was a number of really good quotes, and Rob said something, which is that because Rob was asked the question about will brands use Clubhouse, and Clubhouse is, as it, for those of people that don't know, it's just like a radio show. So there's no chat, there's no video, there's no way for you to actually put up an advert or anything like that. And people vote with their feet. If they're not interested in your room, they just leave. And he said something that brands need to facilitate conversations, not dominate them. At the moment, brands have one-way conversations. What does the team think about that? Rob?
Yeah, It's well to just chime in on Rob's point. I think Danielle put it beautifully that the people are winning the battle over the brands. Bye, William. Bye, William.
See you, William.
Hey, man.
So yeah, I think the people are winning. The people are the voice of the brand in 2021, and that voice, if it's just corporate smoosh, is being ignored. If that voice is their own, if it's interesting, if it's authentic and intriguing and challenging and all of that, is what's winning that war over the brand, I think.
Well, it's interesting. Like, if ads were so great, we wouldn't have any salespeople, and businesses would never go out of business, right? You'd never go out of business. There would be no competition. But it's just a fallacy. The reality is if you're running a business, and if you're in sales, you're running a business. If you're running a business, do you want the future of your economic prosperity determined by an algorithm, or do you want it determined by relationships? You have an opportunity on social, using Eric Doyle's favorite word, strategy. You have an opportunity on social to control your destiny if you are a virtuous human being. Disclaimer: if you are a rascal, right? If you are
if you're a rascal,
if you're a scallywag,
right? If you're a douchebag, this isn't going to work for you, right? Because this is something Adam talks about all the time: transparency. What we are talking about only works if you actually like human beings. Okay. And
if you'll excuse me for a moment, I'm afraid I have had somebody arrive in my Zoom room for a scheduled meeting. So thank you all very much. Thank you very much indeed for the audience for being part of this. And I'll catch up with everybody very soon.
Thanks, Adam.
Cheers.
So Tim, you need to take away on the transparency thing, because that's the thing. What we're talking about is not for everyone. Like, if you have no morals, if you have no values, if you hate people and are a vampire, advertising's wonderful.
Are you just like so you coined the phrase today, the MIKE drop, the mic drop. You're on fire. You're absolutely on fire, mic drop.
So Monica's leaving as well. Monica, thank you so much for today. I hope you got something out of it. Thank you so much for your engagement.
Brilliant.
Very much.
So I'm going to slightly change the subject. So Priscilla said something about being bombarded with adverts and emails and cold calls, which was because I said because I'm like bored of it, and maybe bored is actually a negative thing, and I need to stop doing that. But she said that she thought that she'd got smart to it. Now I'm a person iOS 13 was fantastic for me, because I know that if any call that I get that's not in my address book just goes straight through to voicemail, so you can't cold call me. And I'm a horrible one for setting up rules on my email that if you spam me once, I create a rule and immediately you will always go to the bin ever since, because I can't live without only a couple of emails in my inbox. Now I may be an exception, but there must be other people out there that are bored of all of the interruptions and all of the rubbish that we get sent. Adam gave an example there where it's a credit card, isn't it? In the UK, it's one of the new challenger banks, and they're just sending out crap because they can. But what's happened? Why are we so bored of it, or why have we got smart to it, and why are we stopping it?
Well, it's even beyond that. Just from a coaching perspective, human beings have only got so many calories they can burn per day. Like, your brain runs on glucose, and there's a lot of research about what's happening when you get too much stimulation, fight or flight. We aren't that far removed from running around trying not to be eaten by animals.
Yeah.
At least in Scotland. I don't know. But, and so the reality.
That's a joke, Eric.
Yeah, it's very good. That's very good.
I pick on him because he's got a nicer mountain bike. But the reality is that you're playing a short game if you're trying to overwhelm people. Eventually, they're going to either tune out or they're going to fight back. And so I think you're far better doing what Tim always talks about, which is, how do you close the gap? How do you bring people to you? Because that's the answer to being bored. Don't be boring.
It's an interesting point, Mike, because it's not often talked about, which is the way that what happens with all this noise at the moment is it pushes people away. And I mean, Peggy made a great comment there about people do business with people you trust. It's true. And trust actually doesn't take a lot of time to build up. If you look at someone on social, you can go, you jump to a conclusion, go, I think I trust them just by looking at their profile. And what that does is it actually brings people closer to you. And this is a transformation that's taken place on the internet and social media that no one's talking about, which is that traditional sales and marketing pushes people away, but you can use social as a way to bring people together.
And what happens about in that bringing together is there's a beauty in that space. The aid to connection of those little sign-ups is helping and assisting people and being a source of advice that brings us closest together, allows us to make those little connections. I'm just going back to not so long ago in my professional life when the idea of sharing advice and helping on social was so alien to me as the MD of a service company, because we hid all of our secret sauce. Hide your secret sauce, hide your secrets, hide everything you're doing. Don't be sharing anything too much. Only put out press releases about how great we are and how much money we've made and those big contract wins and all of that, because everything is good here. And no way will we discuss anything that's a slight shade of darkness about something that's gone wrong in the organization. We don't share any of that. It's only good news stories we put out. That was our strategy. That was, and this replicated by everybody in the street, in the city, in the sector, on the planet.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of, and I've seen it. I put it out regularly and comment to people when people put up posts saying, "What's the thing that you've learned most? That's been the biggest shock to you since over 20 and into 21?" Is that the more we help on social, the more we assist, the more we give on social, the more we get back.
Just like this.
It's interesting, Eric. Like, I think you played some rugby.
Yep.
Right. One of the things that's important is you have to understand what field you're going to play upon. And I will say I was a excellent youth soccer player, but it became immediately apparent at a certain age that I wasn't good enough. Nice. I saw that, Tim, by the way.
Yep.
I'm America. Anyways, but the point is like, that's all I'm saying. It became immediately apparent at a certain point that I was not qualified to play on that field. I had to find a different field. And like, social is real. It's not fantasy land, no matter what all these influencers and experts tell you that you can do anything on it. You have to approach this logically with a business mindset. And you have to also, like, what are you doing that works off of social? Like, what's true and what works, and then take that there and make sure that, like, and I will say this, Tim's proven it, you can compete at an international massive level if you're strategic and you make sure that you can deliver.
Yep. We've never advertised. We've never cold called. We've never sent emails. We were a global company within 2 years of startup. If you take Eric started, he's grown 400% last year during the pandemic. I mean, and he's never advertised, never cold called, and never sent an email.
Never will.
And how many other companies are grown by 400% in a pandemic?
So bringing it back to that advertising question, if I can, and Danielle gave us some metrics. What are the KPIs that we use for social? It looks like those same things, does it not?
I think one of the things, it's a really good point, Rob, because one of the things that people often say is that likes and comments is vanity metrics, and likes and comments is actually gold. It's not necessarily something, well, you can measure it and it's an indicator, but it's the likes and comments that creates the conversations, and shows that, because as I said earlier on, if you post something, someone likes it, you have something in common, you've got an opportunity to have a conversation with them. That ability to do that is just immense. I mean, we give, you mentioned earlier on, we often use, and I write about in my blogs, an example from Eric posting about his son's birthday on the beach. His son Austin was 16, probably this time last year, wasn't it, Eric?
It was June time last year.
June, yeah. Okay, right. He's a June baby, and of course, it took him 10 minutes to do it, and you got 168 likes, and was it 34 comments?
Something like that, yeah.
So when you take out the fact that his mates liked it and the people he knows liked it, there was 84 likes and comments, or 84 opportunities for him to then go and have a conversation with people. Now, when you go through that 84 and say, okay, that person isn't my target market, or that person isn't senior enough, I think they got down to about 20. But ultimately, you got from that post, you got 6 C-level meetings. You got, of those 6 C-level meetings, 2 people asked for a proposal, and you've had 1 purchase order. And it took you 10 minutes to put that post up.
Yep. And that was just 1 day's work.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there is no demand. There is no demand generation method out there, advertising, cold calling, email, that can get you 6 C-level meetings, 2 proposals, and 1 purchase order in 10 minutes.
Nope.
From a picture.
From a picture that he took on his iPhone.
Yeah. And again, the follow-up to that is, and then we the same the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Then take that across 6 people, 20 people, 30, 50 people in your organization. It's enormous. Enormous.
So Roger's just said, likes and comments tell you you've hit the interest point of the contact. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
You have to recognize that the interest level, then expand out that more directly. And those who showed interest, it's like tracking a well-done email program. You track you're going to type something else.
You track the engagement and target those key responders. It's up in the corner.
Yeah.
Thanks, Roger.
Another mic drop moment.
Yes.
So,
I think the key is you got to follow up.
Sorry, Mike, go on.
I was going to say the key is, and this is something that Tim teaches and everyone here teaches, is like, you can't just do a random act of social. If you get the likes and the follow-ups and you get the engagement, you have to do something. But that something cannot be transactional. Would you guys agree? Because Eric, you followed up on the interest in your photo, but did you say, hey, let's book an appointment and I can pitch you?
No. We connected. We had a bit of chit chat. We established the fact that we both had common interests. The reason that I connected is because that this person was interesting to me, and I felt I could be interesting to them. That's got to be something in it too, right? Not just interesting to me. I think I can be interesting to you, and I think if we meld our minds together and join these little synapses together, I think we can't see it right now, but I think further down the line, we're going to realize that we can be really helpful to each other. And that help can be range from just good friends. We actually entertain each other and just make each other laugh and giggle, right all the way through to, you might want to engage me, or I might want to engage you in a piece of commercial interaction. So I love that. The fact that when we connect with people, we don't really know, we realize there's something interesting. We think there's a little spark there. We have a look at a profile and we think, yeah, that's interesting. But for me, it's about what happens after that, the work that you put in, the relationships you establish, and what comes out of that. The little roses that grow are just beautiful.
Because one of the examples was that you met a guy from, he was a private equity company, a PE company. And you had a conversation with him, and he said, "I really love this," and he recommended then you to the companies that within the PE group.
Yeah.
See you, Peggy. Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy.
Eric, I got another question for you. When you look at this process, there is no magic bullet, and not everyone that you interact with is going to like you or want to talk to you. No. But, and so I think that's where a lot of people get hung up on social. I know I did. I was on your podcast 5 years ago, Tim, and, I had to marinate a little while in the refrigerator before I was able to come on board, and that's just because I'm dumb, soccer.
Garlic. I sent you some garlic.
Yeah, it should have been more salt. But the point being is, like, ultimately we have to accept that people want to be validated personally. It's a basic human need. And so when you're in sales, you have to understand that if they think you're only after their pocketbook, that's not going to build relationships, because, even though you want access to the pocketbook, the human being's got to make the decision. So date the person, not the money.
So one of the things, the last thing I wrote down in the Clubhouse was actually a Mike Garrison quote. And the question was around, okay, so how are you going to do this? What are you going to do? So, and I think someone used an analogy about, if you're going to go to Everest, how do you go to Everest? And the thing that you said, Mike, was pick a guide. So talk us through that. So
it's really interesting. Do it yourself. DIY has I don't know how it is over, across the pond, but in America, there's a overinflated value on figuring it out yourself. And I don't think that's a really successful trend unless you're a scientist or an engineer. And so fundamentally, you have a choice. You can try and figure it out all out on your own. And if you haven't already, the chances are you won't. The other option you have is, if you've created an awareness inside yourself that there is something better, that you have hope now that you're listening to this or you've seen some posts. How do I get to my destination better, right? Why do we use GPS? So when you're looking at what we do at DLA, we're offering to be a global positioning system to help you get to your destination. And we're going to do it just like a GPS does. We're going to help you figure out where you want to go. What's the destination? Like, you enter the address, and then what happens? You go along the route. We measure the speed, right? We look for accidents. We look for detours. Maybe we throw up a couple of, hey, get a Hardee's meal here or whatever. But that's the principle of a guide. And that is what I believe makes this process better. Don't cede your company's individualism and your creativity to a software program or a hard system. Engage with someone. If it's not us, best of luck, but engage with someone as a guide that's going to listen to you and create it around you, because the system only works if it's about the human beings. The system, it's social, for God's sake.
The fallacy of DIY?
Rob's a big DIY guy, by the way.
We are all standing on the shoulders of those that came before us, whether we acknowledge that or not.
Thanks, Eva.
Thanks,
and
Eva.
I loved when you used the Mount Everest analogy, because early on in the Sales Enablement Society, we were all asked, well, what would be one word that describes what we do? The one I came up with was Sherpa. I love the thought of being a Sherpa. I love guiding people through the peaks and valleys of the highest points in their career.
That's the thing behind you. But it's not a rucksack.
Just real quickly,
rucksack, isn't it?
Really quickly, yes. Sherpas are not guides.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just saying, because I'm a mountaineer, right? Oh. And so when you're making an analogy, Sherpas carry the packs. That's what a Sherpa is designed to help you get to the top by carrying the weight. And there is a role for that.
We learn something every day, Eric, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course we do.
But the Sherpas in social are your employees, your teammates, your customers. It's your connections, because these are the people, when you connect with them authentically, that help you to the destination. But the guide is the one who says, okay, I understand that you want to get to Everest. We're not going this way. There is a canyon, a crevasse, or there's an avalanche potential. The guide is the strategic vision. And oftentimes you've got a guide at the base camp, and then you guide that goes with you up the mountain.
So Gary Stockton,
exactly.
he's a good mate of mine. He says that expedition leader is more of a guide. I like this. I like this, how we've got into a debate about guides. And It's known as a rabbit. It's a guide rabbit hole.
I like the analogy we sometimes use. I know this isn't all about analogies, but the fact that Rafa Nadal, Djokovic, Roger Federer, the legends of modern men's tennis, all have a coach sitting up there. All have a coach sitting up there who might not be, and probably is not, in fact, definitely is not, a current global legend in tennis. They're all people from sometimes outside tennis, sometimes from other sports, sometimes ex-legends that are a bit older and a bit wiser, but they have that person there who's just that extra ear, that steady hand for them to be able to turn to in those moments. You see when Rafa Nadal, Djokovic, I personally, I'm a Federer guy, but Federer shoots that shot and it misses. He looks up to his coach and his coach is just like, remember what we said? Remember what we said? Just that reminder, that solid reminder that, you know, that guy couldn't come down and replace Roger on the court. No way. You'd get absolutely destroyed. But he's there as a coach, he's there as a guide, an advisor, a mentor, and just to keep Roger straight. When times get tough and when times get good, they celebrate and they also commiserate together, but they pull out of it together. And I like that one.
Yeah, but you know, Roger's still got to play the match, and that's the beauty of this.
Maybe we could do a LinkedIn poll about whether it's an expedition leader
or a tennis coach.
Yeah. So Rob does DIY, and he stands on the shoulders of giants of people who've done YouTube videos.
Of course.
How do you make your washing machine? Well, the first thing you do is you reach to YouTube. And
That's savage.
He must have savage. when he was doing the yard fence. He must have looked up the YouTube video on how to hire a contractor.
How to get them to work for free.
Oof,
excellent.
That's brutal.
Yeah, big time.
On that note,
so mine. GPS.
It's everything. You know, the problem is if you buy a piece of software, how do you know it's going to get you to where you want to get to? You just plug and play it, right? And you do all this training, but at the end of the day, your people have got to deliver. And so I think the most important thing is when you're looking at selecting a guide, is that person going to eat what they cook? Right? And we talk about this all the time. Like those you made that point, Tim. I forget where it was. You're like, well, why should I trust these cold calling people if it was so good? Why are they always on LinkedIn? You know?
Yeah. It was for me. Cold calling died. There's a very famous cold caller who wrote a book, and he basically wrote a load of stuff about social selling. No, just said it was shit. He didn't. There was nothing to back it up. So this cold calling's great, and you go all the way 200 pages, and at the end it says you can contact me on my social profiles. And it's like, no. It doesn't work like that.
No.
It's so.
Send me your phone number on LinkedIn, and I'll give you a call.
Yeah.
So I got a story for you, right? So like I used to do referral training all the time, lots of referral training, and this brings back to social. And people would always be like, "Well, how do I get more referrals?" I'm like, "Well, how do you buy? How do you buy?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" Well, this was a while ago, so we pulled out these things that some of you may not have heard of called a checkbook, like where you write checks to people. Yeah. It's an old concept. You can look it up on YouTube, I'm sure. But I would ask them to go through their checkbook and evaluate their purchasing. And I always say, don't complain about buying on price when that's the only way you buy. If you're buying on relationship and you want other people to buy from you because of how virtuous you are, how much you care about them, you damn well better do the same yourself. And that's the thing when you're picking a guide. Like picking some of these people, there you go, Tim, you should be proud. That was restraint. Picking some of these people on LinkedIn that don't do any real social selling is like having the world's fattest man be your mountain guide to the top Everest. They're not going to get out of base camp. They're going to tell you a concept, but they're not going to understand how to walk up the mountain.
Rob.
Yes.
You're not saying much. Come
I'm still distraught over I identified as a Sherpa, and now I know what I really am.
You were the bag carrier.
Yeah, all right. The caddy.
So my one caveat to get a guide, and it's not really a caveat, it's just and, not but, and, challenge them. This is serious, right? This is super serious. This is super, super serious. Usually when we meet people, we're meeting management teams because there's a problem, there's an issue. And many times they've wasted money by looking for a shortcut, whether that's with tech or with the wrong people. Get a guide for sure, but challenge that guide, and absolutely challenge that guide. Look for references and ask them straight, have you taken a management team from a very delicate analog position through to becoming expert in social selling and strategic social media? Challenge them, ask for reference. And if it's not there, the same question, why should I trust the cold caller that's trying to sell me cold calling on LinkedIn? It has to be based in reference. You need to be putting, if you're going to be doing this, and we talk about the difference between the 1 hour masterclass for $150 that's going to make you a social selling genius through our view on this, which is about strategic social media and digital dominance. If you're going to do this properly, this is proper business transformation. You are taking your business from one position to another, and we want that to be sustainable. The only way we can make that sustainable, so that when we leave and we unplug ourselves from this whole process, is to make sure that we're working at the highest possible level, and we're leaving you in a position where you've been educated, you've changed process, changed language, changed the whole syntax of the organization in a sustainable way that continues on for growth. It's got to be there.
So just to finish up, I'll just let Rob disappear, but I left him back in again. This was about 5 minutes too. This was an experiment.
Yeah.
We ran the Clubhouse, and then what we wanted to do was try and run a LinkedIn Live through Restream and see and debate all the things that we had in Clubhouse. I'm interested also from the people watching, their feedback. Was this useful? Was it a waste of time? Should we do it again? Is there a way that we could make it better? You don't need to tell us how to make it worse, but is there a way you can make it better? I'm really interested in people's feedback, because this was an experiment. We wanted to see whether, we talked on Clubhouse about moving people from different platforms. And I'm really interested to hear from you guys and what you've got to say.
I think it's a beautiful. I mean, the fact that our topic today on Clubhouse was, multi-platforming, omnichanneling, all of that, and yet here we are. We're actually living proof that it's working. It's beautiful. Just a quick comment from me. I really like the Restream vibe in here. It's beautiful. I like the way the questions pop up for the panel in the large piece. I think it's, what's that?
I'm the Sherpa that does the.
Right, you're the Sherpa that does that. Do you put those up there? Is that how the?
Yeah. So you can. Is Roger?
I like this. I think it's a really nice. It'd be good to hear from our audience as well, as if they've been on other lives. Is this the best live kind of format? I really like it. I think it's terrific. So I'm going to go with Restream for my first live.
Restream.
Restroom is cool stuff, says Gary. I think he might mean Restream.
Is it tongue in cheek? Is that
correct?
Thanks, Gary.
Your mate, right, Gary?
Thanks, Gary.
It is. He's English, but he's now got American citizenship. So, but he's still got a sense of humor.
It really has, absolutely.
Whoa.
He was British.
He still understands irony.
So that's kind of cool. But this is the this is the free version. Because it's got, I can get, you've got Restream logo, but it's, I can bring people in, I can bring the, you should have put build check actually, Roger, but.
Yeah, I like it better. The only advantage Clubhouse is that people can talk synchronously with you, but, I think that for people that are want to contribute but don't necessarily want to speak live, that this is a good format.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought, by the way,
and
you
the
were
way-
great. You were great, Barry.
And the way you can decide where to restream. So it's restreamed through Periscope onto Twitter, onto my YouTube channel, and on my personal Facebook page, and then obviously my LinkedIn page using LinkedIn Live.
And I checked your YouTube channel. That's a lovely stream on there. So you're streaming. I checked YouTube because you never know
That's
if
a
you're
nice
checking your own.
stream.
Yeah.
Nice stream.
And also I like the fact that with the new setup, obviously with creator mode coming in and all of that, when we look at Tim's profile, the live is the banner, the headline banner. It's beautiful. So people can just click and join if they land on his profile and go and say, "Oh, Tim's doing a live right now. We'll go in and join it." So
Yes.
I think it's great.
Also, what you can do is you can this is what Gary says. So what you can do is, if you have a really good chat, what I can do is I can then replay this for maybe California time, and not actually have to attend.
Is that not on Restroom?
Is that Oracle time?
It's on Restroom, yeah.
That's on
Restroom. You got to get Restroom together.
It's Oracle time, right? Not California time.
Restroom.
And was this easy to do? Did you just simply open up, invite people, and hit go live?
Yeah. It was pretty. Yeah, it took me I don't know 10, 15 minutes to set it up.
Outstanding.
The only thing I've had to learn is how to use Canva, but I need to do that anyway. So there's the skills that you've got to learn things, haven't you?
To do what? To put a bit of a logo up and stuff?
Yeah, you need to. If you don't put a logo, the first time I did it, I didn't put a logo up, and it just looks rubbish. So you need to have some sort of banner to put up. So I had to go and create something on Canva, but
it's not up today.
Yeah.
It's not on. It's not here. Your Canva banner isn't here.
No, sorry. To when you promote it,
right? Yes.
What happens is it goes automatically onto all the different social media channels, and you need to have an image on the front. Otherwise, it's just a blue.
Yeah.
And I've never done that before, even though I've done 200 podcasts. I've never created images for it. I just didn't.
We need to bring Eric's daughter on as our staff designer.
Yeah, she's just got a new job, so we missed the boat.
She gone.
Yeah, she's gone got a proper job.
That's America.
She gone. I really enjoyed this, guys. I thought it was great. I'm going to have to split.
Yeah, I need to go as well. Thank you everybody for attending. Thank you for the audience and all the wonderful, great questions. Thank you so much. I think we've got it. Going around everybody. I think we're all in, and we'll do this again.
Awesome. Loved it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody. I need to work out how to switch it off now.